The movie starts with a narration about how Earth's mightiest heroes, the Avengers, united against common threats, including the time-traveling aliens and masters of evil. The Avengers vanquished them all, and finally, when the world was at peace, the heroes built lives of their own. The soldier and spy fell in love, as did the giant and pixie. The king found his queen, and the thunder god returned to his kingdom. And the children of the Avengers came to be children who would one day become a new generation of heroes. Later, there returned an evil called Ultron, who wanted total dominion over Earth. The Avengers stood in its way, but they were defeated. However, before they fell, the Avengers hid their children far away, where they grew safely as the hope for the future. The scene then changes to 12 years later, at the fortified refuge somewhere in the Arctic Circle, where the Avengers' children are trained and monitored by Tony Stark. Superhero children Pym, son of Giant Man and the Wasp, and Azari, son of the Black Panther, are training together. In the same refuge, Torun, daughter of Thor and Sif, had a dream of Asgard, and she hopes that one day her father will come for her. Pym finds Torun and tries to lift her sword, but fails. He runs away, and Torun throws the sword at him, almost nailing him. Azari tells Torun that tag doesn't work like that. However, Torun says those are the rules of mortal humans. An immortal Asgardian warrior runs from no one, and they will have to taste her wrath. The three then head over to find James Rogers, son of Black Widow and Captain America, whom they find asleep. James finds the whole training pointless since nothing will happen in their safe place, and their parents died, and Torun's dad even abandoned her. This angers Torun, but their fight is stopped by Tony Stark, who sends everyone away to cool off, and he asks James to be responsible like his father. Just then, the alarm rings and Tony sends them to one room as he heads to check on it. Torun thinks they should be out there, averting dangers, while Pym thinks it could be Ultron attacking them. At that moment, Vision enters their room through the walls and falls down. Vision explains to Stark that the drones in Ultra City damaged his system. Tony takes him to his workshop and promises to explain everything to the kids later. However, the kids decide to figure out on their own by following Tony into the workshop. Inside, they bump into Iron Man's intriguing robots which resemble their parents, the Avengers. Up ahead, they find Tony fixing Vision, who explains that Ultron's drones found him while he was accessing their mainframe. All of Europe has been subjugated by the machines, with the invasion of Asia expected to soon commence. He also states that Clint Barton's son is still alive. James accidentally activates Captain America's robot, which in turn activates the others, and they set out to destroy Ultron's forces just as they are programmed. Their departure alerts Tony, while on the other end, Ultron traces the robot's energy signal and discovers the refuge is somewhere in the Arctic Circle. James apologizes for his carelessness, but is too late, since Ultron overrides Tony's program. Tony Stark senses danger and sends the kids to the control center together with Vision's head, who explains to them what is happening. Just then, the shield surrounding them gets destroyed, and they receive an unexpected guest, Ultron. Ultron is about to terminate the kids, but Iron Man stops him. The kids head to the control room, but they plan to leave Vision's head and go rescue Tony, promising to come back. However, Vision overrides the room's system, which happens to be a jet, and launches it off. Ultron defeats Iron Man, while the kids demand that Vision turn back the jet. However, he claims that Iron Man sacrificed himself for them, and he sets a course for a safe place called the Savage Land. This sounds horrible to the kids, but before he could explain further, he powers off. The kids wonder what to do next, while Torun vows to avenge against Ultron, and she asks Pym to fly the plane to Ultra City to find him. In Ultra City, their plane is shot down, but Torun carries them safely. They sneak into the city where Torun plans to find Ultron, smite him, and free Tony. James is afraid of Ultron, but Torun is too courageous for her boots, and she flies away for Asgard. She starts a fight with the robots, but gets hurt, and the others join in. The Iron Avengers also attack the kids, but they are rescued after being pulled into the walls mysteriously. Torun is left alone in the battlefield and she calls for her father. Just then, a boy comes to her rescue, and they escape, but Torun forgets her sword. Elsewhere, Ultron captures Tony Stark and shows him footages of the kids from his worldwide surveillance system. James, Azuri, and Pym wake up in a strange location, but Torun appears with the boy who saved her. The boy later reveals that his name is Barton, Hawkeye's son, and they also introduce themselves as the Avengers' children. Barton is a bit disappointed since he thought he was the last standing Avenger, as his father told him. He explains that after Ultron took over, Barton's father taught the people to survive underground. However, the machines finally got his dad, and he was left to lead. They also reveal that Tony Stark is alive, but he is captured by Ultron, and they plan to rescue him. The heroes ask Barton to join them, but he refuses and shows them the way there. They arrive at the tower, but have to go through a series of traps in the hallway. Pym and Azuri go first, and Pym falls into one of the traps, but he can fly, so joke's on you. James is quite afraid, but Torun the Brave cheers him up, and they fly over together. They come across Ultron's trophy room of equipment from the Avengers and his enemies, which saddens them. They then free Tony, but he finds the rescue too easy, and they probably walked into his trap because he built Ultron and knows him. Just then, Ultron appears with his army of converted robots. He plans to destroy the children to prevent any further continuation of the superhuman variable. Ultron scans James and finds he's Captain America's son, the most troublesome one, and he decides that James will be the first to fall. Just then, Barton arrives, followed by his resistance team, and they attack the robots. The team then manage to escape outside with Tony Stark. Tony explains that he created Ultron to be a force for peace, but it later evolved and wanted to take control over the world. During the attack, he got a hold of all the children, though he failed to get to Barton. Tony raised the kids hopefully as their parents would have wanted, but he blames himself for causing Ultron. Tony also learns from a lady nearby named Betty that the Hulk survived too and is hiding from Ultron in the desert. Burton brings in a ship, which they can use to find the Hulk, and his resistance team are left behind to buy them some time. The team later finds Bruce tending to plants, and Pym wonders if that really is the talked-of scary monster. Bruce asks them to leave and starts to pant heavily when he sees Stark. However, Betty calms him down, but he still refuses to help them, since bad things happen when the Hulk comes out. James then comes up with a plan to lure Ultron there, so he can cause the Hulk to appear, destroying the robot. They power on the ship, and Ultron traces their signal and sends the Iron Avengers after them. Bruce is not happy after he hears their plan, while Torun pleads for his father Thor to lend her his strength. As the robots are trying to pull out her blade from the ground, the sword shakes and pulls itself out, destroying the robots in the way. The blade lands near Torun, and she thanks her father for the help. Meanwhile, Tony prepares the Young Avengers on how to best defeat the Iron Avengers and trip up their programming, and the courageous Torun walks in. Their pep talk is interrupted when the Iron Avengers arrive and they have to fight. James saves Tony from falling while Pym grows big to fight the Iron Giant Man. Back in the cave, Betty asks Bruce if he will really let the kids be destroyed out there while he watches flowers. Azuri almost defeats Iron Black Panther, but it transforms into a leopard and crawls after him. James defeats Iron Captain America, while Torun is busy fighting Iron Thor. Pym also defeats Giant Man, who later unleashes tiny wasps which attack him. Pym is advised by James to awaken the Hulk by angering him, and he heads to his lair. The wasps follow him into the lair and start to attack Bruce, while Giant Man watches the entrance. Just then, the Hulk roars as he is transforming, while the others watch from outside. Just then, the Hulk leaps out of the cave, passing through Giant Man's head, and he begins to smash the robots. Ultron also joins the party and attacks the Hulk. The Young Avengers defeat the Iron Avengers, but Ultron still remains. Ultron knocks down the Hulk and easily defeats the Young Avengers. Pym then heads to reawaken the Hulk. He mocks the Hulk that he is scared of Ultron, who is just a little robot that beat him up and called him ugly. As Ultron is lasering James, The Hulk grabs him and begins to pound on him into the ground. He then lifts up Ultron and rips him into two. Hulk then turns to the kids, but Betty calls him from far away. Hulk then recognizes Pym and asks him not to sting Hulk anymore. Pym promises not to, and the Hulk leaps off to his cave. There he meets Betty, who greets him, and the Hulk carries her away. Later, Tony explains that Ultron's body is designed to regenerate, so there is a possibility he could come back, as long as he has any parts. Torrin then grabs Ultron's pieces and flies into space, where she throws him away. In space, she begins to suffocate and falls unconscious. Just then, her father Thor appears and tells her that she has made him proud, because in her mortality, she has also learned that the very lesson Odin strived to teach him, what it meant to be human. That is why she left him with the Avengers, because the gods of Asgard are without the humanity of a true hero. Thor then asks her daughter, Torrin, to come home to Asgard, but she claims that her home is with her family on Earth. Thor accepts this, but welcomes her to Asgard at any moment she feels like it. She then lands back on Earth with a new suit and passes her father's greetings to the team. Vision powers up after recharging to find the kids embracing, and he wonders if he missed something. However, party's not over, since there are a little over 10,000 more robots in Ultra City that need destruction. James calls for the Avengers to assemble, and the thrilling film comes to an end. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to our channel. I'll be back with another interesting movie recap. Until then, take care.